See, if you go by Indian scriptures, they have defined a number of ceremonies to be performed right through the pregnancy, even before the pregnancy. In fact, there is a ceremony to ensure conception. So, a right day, to try for a child and so on. And then going forward, a stage at which you can wish for the gender of the child, and then various stages. Now, fundamentally, if you look at all these ceremonies, they have been so designed that they are in line with the medical thought, the Indian medical thought of Ayurveda. So, as per Indian Ayurveda, what is the stage in a woman's cycle when a conception should happen? What is the stage when a gender is determined, and therefore when should you do a particular, when should you desire for that, and when should you therefore do certain rituals, and the stage at which the heart forms, and different development of the fetus as it goes by, in its entire cycle till it comes out as a baby. These ceremonies, if you see, they go hand in hand with that. It's not that generally they just say in the 5th month of the pregnancy do this, or in the 2nd month do that, or in the 7th month do such and such a thing. The reasoning why they have decided those milestones is in line with what Ayurveda describes as the development of the fetus. That is one side. Okay. Now, given that it is in line with the fetal development, the rituals, if you see, the flavor they take, they are in tune with this development. So when you have a child, a fetus which is in a stage where it can hear, I mean the hearing senses are developing and so on, then they have ceremonies where you play lots of music. They encourage, in fact one of the ceremonies they insist that you play the veena, the stringed instruments, and
wind instrument,
and you give the lady a lot of bangles in her hand, and especially glass bangles, because glass, they chime when they hit against each other. So the clinking sound of a glass bangle, and the mother, so throughout, from typically I think this is from the 6th month or so on, 5th to 6th month onwards, and when the mother starts wearing this right through her pregnancy, when this child is exposed, every movement of her hand, the child gets to hear this melodious sound, and so the fetus develops. So it's not just only thinking in your mind, but even the surrounding things. So whatever the fetus can imbibe, that is fed by the mother, not just through the umbilical cord as nourishment, but through mental vibrations, through sounds, through environment, and all of that. So that is what is the significance of these rituals, why they do certain things at those stages. In fact, in one of the rituals, they take the tender shoots of certain trees, and this is fairly advanced stage of pregnancy, and then they crush it, and then they just put in a few drops in the nose of the mother, and a fairly advanced stage. That has got some medicinal effect for the pregnancy, for easy delivery and things like that. So these things have to really be understood. They're all very scientific, and they're beyond scientific also. I mean, there is a inner goodness in it. It's not just only science. It doesn't stop short at science, but goes into a realm of goodness, wanting something good for the fetus, and therefore designing things that go with that.
That was
and one of them, in fact, one of the ceremonies I think falls soon after the first trimester, and that is when the people go and they present the lady. It's like a baby shower, but not far at the end, but rather in the beginning itself, where you go and then you present the lady with all kinds of food to eat, and because she's just come out of the first trimester, she should have had a kind of rough weather, should have faced a lot of rough weather during those months. Now she's happy and she wants to eat different things. So you go to her with all that, with flowers.
Goodies, all the food goodies to feed her.
So that's how you have to understand these rituals, why they were done, when they were done, and why they were done the way they were done.
So I guess what are the major rituals or like the milestones, like the ceremonial milestones during pregnancy? Like could you name a few?
Yeah, what's the first one for conception?
Garbhodana.
Garbhodana. Yeah. So it's garbo. Look at the word garbhodana. That is, it's a dana. So the male is donating the life itself
as dana to be mother.
So that's conception. That's how they've defined that stage.
Dan is to give, to donate. So it's called Garbhodana.
So Garbhodana is one.
Then you have
Pumsavana.
Pumsavana, which is that's a stage where it is to decide the gender of the child. And these days, I mean, it's done fairly advanced, but those days, it was done at a particular time.
It was done between month 2 and month 3. At the time, month 2, month 3. So when the gender decision is taken in the womb, so you desire a particular gender. If the parents have a particular choice, be it a female child or a male child, so suitably they pray and their rituals desiring a gender.
I mean, there are texts which describe all this, exactly. I mean,
let's not get into that for this discussion.
Yes.
But what we're saying is that's available. Then the other thing is called Simanta. Simanta, where you part the hair of the woman, you plait it and give her the bangles and all those things you do. And in South, there's another ritual, festival, ceremony, how we would call it. It's called Puchutal, where the mother, would-be mothers, give a lot of flowers. She's bathed in fragrant.
Actually, that's called Jata Karma.
Jata Karma.
Yeah. That is when actually you part the hair
and all those things you do that. So these are different festivals.
Put a lot of flowers and.
More importantly, the way we have a different Upanishad for different subjects of the land. It's interesting to note that there's a particular Upanishad called Garbhopanishad. For this Upanishad is where you sit and learn high knowledge. Okay? A master teaches a student. Here there is an Upanishad that deals with Garbha, pregnancy, the period of pregnancy. Right, from how to get pregnant to how to handle yourself when you're pregnant. The word Hinduism itself is a word given by outsiders to the religion of India. In fact, there is not one religion called Hinduism. It is an amalgam of at least 6 religions, which we call Hinduism today. This amalgam happened about 200 years back, 200 to 300 years back, when the British came to India. Because they wanted to administratively have one religion in India. So for which they brought about this amalgam and called it Hinduism. Before that, the name of there were 6 religions and collectively they were all called Sanatana Dharma. The word Sanatana means very ancient, at the same time ever young. And Dharma means how you live as per your character. Each human being has a character to live by. You live as per your character, as per your role. That's Dharma. The Dharma of a tiger is to be carnivore, is to live in the jungle. The Dharma of a cow is to give milk to the calf. Similarly, each animal, plant, every hill, the planet, everything has got its own Dharma. Similarly, humans also have their Dharma, how to live. Ethics of living, values of living, ethos of living. So that is what the ethos of this land was. All the 6 religions of this land collectively enshrined as to the living methods, codes of good living. That's what this whole religion of Hinduism expresses. Gods are what you look at. Actually, we never had the concept of gods in Hinduism. It was more divinities, those that are divine. The very word divine comes from the root word, Sanskrit root word, div, the English word divine, and the Greek word diva, which comes from the root word Sanskrit word. There is a similarity between the Greek word div and the Sanskrit word div. And in India it's called as divya. That's why you got a lot of girls by the name Divya also. Okay, div means to glow. Anything that glows is divine. Now the question is, what is it that doesn't glow in the whole of creation? Everything glows. The sun glows, the moon glows. As a human, you glow, I glow, this pen glows, this camera also glows. So everything is divine.
If it didn't glow, you wouldn't see it. If it didn't glow, you wouldn't perceive it. So it is glowing, it is radiating some form of energy. It could be light energy alone, it could be some other form of energy, heat energy, or different kinds of energy in the spectrum of energy. So it is, everything glows. So anything that radiates energy, it's glowing.
Is divine. So it is understanding this concept of divinity and living in sync with nature is the embodiment of Hinduism. When you say this embodiment of Hinduism, then it's been there from the very... So nobody created this religion of Hinduism. There is no one particular person who came and said, "Lo, here I give you Hinduism." No. It's existed from the time man started realizing all these things. From the time when animals started realizing it in their own way. From the time the plants started realizing this in their own way. From the time the fish started realizing it in their own way. Before that, from the time the germs, the amoeba, the microorganisms started realizing it in their own way. From the time the earth, before that the sun, before that the galaxy started realizing it in their own way. Before that, when the Big Bang occurred, the universe started realizing it in its own way. So it is from that moment, the realization of what all this all is about, that's when you can say Hinduism came into being. In each person's life, whether he's a Hindu or a Christian or a Muslim or a Jew or a Sikh or any religion for Jain, Buddhist, there are certain milestones in every person's life. Even if you're a cave dweller, as long as you're Homo sapien, there are certain steps each has to cross in one's life. These steps have been, as man evolved, got civilized, these steps have been codified. So made into meaningful phases of life. So one can understand what these phases are as far as life is concerned.
And act accordingly.
Act accordingly. Very true, act accordingly. And they've been given what you call a name, a format. That's when you come to live in a civilized society. That's when you come to live in a nagara or a grama, where you live together in a commune. Nagarik, when you say it Hindi, Nagar is township, Nagarik. So civil, that's why you got civil laws, because you're civilized. So in your life also you have that, where you have some codes of living. In the Indian civilization, over the last few millennia, these codes have been formed. They've been given names. In fact, there are 16 steps that a man goes through in his life. 16 phases that a man goes through in his life. These have been collectively called as Shodasa Samskara. The word Shodasa meaning 16 in the Sanskrit language, and Samskara are the acts that you do at each of these steps. The word Kar in Samskara, Kar is to do. Kar, your hand is also called Kar. Okay, that's to do. And you say some there meaning to do it well. To do it with a sense of understanding. So you understand what you're doing and do it well. At the requisite phase of your life. For example, in your youth, you get married. Okay, that's an important step because that's when you can procreate. You can't say I'm going to get married at the age of 80 because you can't procreate then. So that's a purpose of one of the key purposes of living, of having been born, so that you create the next generation to procreate. Okay, so that is something you do at the age of when you're young. And from then on, that's the first step. It's called Garbhodan. Okay, that's the first step. Like that, each step is there. Okay, then as you said, Pumsavana, where you choose the gender. You at least you pray for a gender of your choice. Then Simanta. So 16 steps like that. Then, so marriage is the first step before that. Hmm? Okay, so the 16th step, where then you got a step called Yajnopavita, where you go in for knowledge. The knowledge is not just knowledge of Veda or Purana or Upanishad. Neither is it just Brahminic knowledge. It's knowledge of all sorts. So like this, we have 16 steps, right from starting of the stage where the conception takes place to the death of a person. The 16 levels. So the first 3 levels, the child itself is not aware. It's before birth. So 16 levels in the life of a life, not just life of a person. It goes beyond the life of a person. It goes to the life of a life. That's what we call Shodasa Samskara. The first few stages are done by your parents. The first 3 steps are done by parents even before you're born. Then the next few are done by parents as you come along. That is, they do the naming ceremony.
After you're born.
After you're born. Namakarna. They give you a name. How do they give you a name? By what they wish to call you by. Or sometimes even better, what they do is they call the elder person of the family or a wise man, local wise man, to meditate. And then in that meditation of that wise man whom the family respects, the name that the wise man comes up with, because he sees the qualities when he meditates in the young child. And that's how they name a person. For example, if we take the case of Rama, it was the family preceptor, Guru, Rishi Vashishta, who sat in dhyana and came up with the name Rama, for Rama, the one that is radiant.
And the one who is so beautiful to behold. Is that much Ramya, is such a sight, because the baby was so beautiful.
So he came up with the name.
It radiated so much of beauty.
Similarly, the name of Krishna, it was Rishi Garga, whom we also call as Garga Muni, who was the family preceptor of the Nanda clan, who sat in meditation along with his wife in front of the young child, and then the name they came up was Krishna, because it was a dark, glowing one, a dark child.
Krishna means dark. And Krishna there was not just dark as
Black.
Dark in color alone, but Krishna, as we all know now, reading about him, he's a mystery. He is all shades of personalities, character, and everything that you can think of. And that is what Garga Muni divined. I mean, he is so dark, he's unexplainable, unfathomable. So that's why he gave him the name Krishna, not just only because of his external color. So it's the depth the darkness holds. That is Krishna.
So that's an important ceremony in a person's life, naming ceremony. So it's what either your parents want you to be like that, so they look at a goal in their life, a person that their young child, their adorable child should be like, or what they divine, the preceptor of the family divines a child to be. So that's how they name a child.
And it's so nice. What happens is, and all these names are so meaningful in the Sanskrit language. If you find the name, when you utter the name, then the child understands what it means. And over time, it imbibes those qualities. It strives towards that. So automatically, every time somebody calls the child by that name, your subconsciously molding the child towards that name. If the child knows the meaning of the name, and if the name has a meaning. If when nowadays when the names, many names don't have any meanings, or you're not able to understand what the meaning of the name is, then you're lost. You don't know. That's why you're always seeking something, but you're looking for answers. But if you knew what your name meant, then you know what goal was set for you, what was expected of you, or what was your inner quality that was reflected to that elder who named you. You would just walk along that path.
So there are stages of life that a person has to go through, and these are clearly marked through experience of generations, which we have, it's been classified, and whatever civilization you live in, be it the civilization which is in the Arctic or Antarctic or in the equator, these codes are there. In India you have these codes for a particular time frame. I mean, in the modern era this may slightly change, but pretty much these are facts of life. You have to name a child, you have to give birth to a child, and you have to go through a phase of education, you have to go through a phase of working, then you have to go through a phase of retirement, and when you hand over reins to the next generation. The ancient wisdom of India was all linked to nature. Humans, humanity, and the link between humans, humanity, civilization and nature.
Nature of humans, nature of nature, nature of divinities. So all the nature put together. That was what was the ancient way of living, not just in India but all across the world. So since nature would vary in different places, the kind of connects, the kind of customs, the kind of priorities would change, but pretty much the core essence was this, to synchronize all these nature.
Wow.
So that's what it is. So when you do that, what has changed in the modern world? More machines to help you do your job, and in a way getting away from nature, enclosing yourself to be away from nature. So we don't realize at some point of time that we are part of nature. We can look at we as humans, and nature is something you go see in the forest or in a zoo. Once a week you can go to the zoo to see nature, once a week you can go for a trek in the forest, you see nature and come back, and then enclose yourself in your house. And your office, your car, your house, your office. You think these are not part of nature. But these are also part of nature. Very much. That's something we have to disconnect. But the moment you realize everything is totally interconnected and you are just but a minuscule part of it, how has it changed? It's you who are enclosing yourself. You go to the zoo to see a lion or a tiger in a cage one day of the week, but the balance 6 days you are enclosed in your own cage.
So very true.
So the moment you start recognizing these aspects, you'll see yourself. There's really nothing but change. You are part of nature, and nature is what is all overpowering, and you have to be in sync with nature. So Hindu religion is not something about archaic way of living of a bygone century. No, it's something just that you got to recognize the things around you, surroundings, and live in sync with everything in a sustainable way. That's what the ethos of living is all about.
It's fundamentally something that molds your mindset. So in those times, what were the conditions of nature? What was human life like? And how were these to be balanced? That defined the focus of the religion. So today, if you say it's the modern life today, what is the state of nature today? So, and then what are you supposed to do towards it? So your dharma, the essence of dharma is still there, that you have to be in sync with nature, and you have to do something to keep nature sustained, because otherwise you won't be sustained. But what is the thing that you have to do to keep it sustained? Perhaps in those days you had to do a lot less. Whereas now over years you've caused so much of damage that you have to do perhaps a lot more. So your dharma takes that kind of a, has to be changed to that extent. But you have to live with the dharma. So you have to understand that, and that. So the essence of Hinduism hasn't changed. That you have to live by these tenets, but what these tenets mean and how should they be applied is what will vary with time, and you have to be flexible with that.
If we talk about the ethos of a particular religion here in your question of Hinduism or any other part of the world, if you talk about it's not just that somebody has come and codified it for you 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 or 15 or 20 and then you just live by it and that's what you're done. No. It's ethos is understanding of the self and everything that's around you and living in accordance with it is the ethos. It's again the ethos that was there at the time of Rama's living 7,000 years back is quite different from the ethos that existed at the time of Krishna's living 5,000 years back, and to the ethos that is there today when we're living, and the ethos that was there 100 years back when Gandhiji lived. Each one varies marginally, but human nature is very similar. The situations may vary, the facilities may vary, the surroundings may vary marginally, geographically, but human nature is similar, and you're living in sync with all these things forms the ethos. That is what we need to recognize, realize. Yes, the situations do vary, times vary, geography varies. I cannot have an ethos of a practice that I do in, say, down south of India in Kanyakumari, where it's warm and sunny and humid. I can't carry the same style of living, same rituals, and say I carry the same ethos high up in the Himalayan mountains.
Just because it's Hinduism.
It's cold up there, windy, cold. You can't frost. You can't use the same. You can't say that's the ethos of Hinduism. There's no one size fit all. Really, it has to be adapted to your surroundings, to your nature, and live in sync with it, so that at any point in your life, you don't feel uncomfortable with it.
With it and uncomfortable with where you are and amidst whom you are.
As they say, when you are in Rome, be a Roman. That's the ethos of Rome. You live in sync with it. But you also have to live in sync with what you're comfortable with.
So you must learn what you're comfortable. You need to, that's the whole reason.
That's the ethos. And you form codes in that place, in that geographical place, you form codes, systems. So that's the ethos. Suppose we're living here. What are the ethos of this particular place that we live in, this ashram? You see, this ethos for here. You can't carry the same ethos and say live it in the city, even though it's just 30 kilometers away. It's a slightly different ethos there you have to live by. So every place has context. That's what you have to do. So religion, similarly, when you practice a particular way of life, you have certain ethos that you have to carry with you. There's no hard and fast rule that this is the points that are laid out. You lay them out yourself collectively, cumulatively over ages, collectively as a community, and live well with them jointly. That's ethos.
And when you're in such sync, then aberrations are picked up very easily. And over time, these aberrations get eliminated. Or you wish to eliminate these aberrations. So these kind of things that make you comfortable, those which are aberrations, eventually settle down to form the codes.
As we already said in our earlier clips, there is no sanctioned religion called Hinduism in the traditional sense of the word. It's more a way of living. It's an amalgam of different religions. That's what it is. So there's no codified way. If you do all this, you're a Hindu. If you don't do all this, you're not a Hindu. There's nothing like that. Actually, in the realm of Hinduism, as a religion if you call it, you can like Shiva and be Hindu. You can say, no, I will not pray to Shiva and still be a Hindu. I'll pray only to Vishnu, but I won't pray to Shiva and still be a Hindu. Or you can say, I'll pray only to Shiva and not to Vishnu and still be a Hindu.
Or you can say, I'll pray to both.
That also you're still a Hindu. And you can say, no, I won't pray to any of these. I'll only pray to Om and still be a Hindu. The sound Om and still be a Hindu. So you have the choice of flexibility. Your Ishta Devata, your choice of the divinity you can propitiate. Or you can say, I'm not going to propitiate any of this and still be Hindu. You can't do this in any other religion of the world. You can't, for example, say that I'm not propitiate a particular divinity, the origin of the religion, and still be of that religion. Here you can do that. You can say, no, it's my father, mother who are my God. And still you are Hindu. Or you can say, my guru is my divinity. Every will comes secondary to me. That's also perfectly fine. That's a flexibility that you have here in what you today call Hinduism. It's always existed. It's not that today, it's existed right from the very beginning of mankind, of your personal choice. And it's respected, accepted, it's respected also.
So if there's such a flexible thing of, being a Hindu, is there any one consistent thing that makes someone a Hindu? Is there anything like that? No?
It's not geographical, it's not by birth. Again, it's by choice. Where you respect knowledge, you respect elders, you respect all other faiths, and you respect nature, and you respect humanity, you respect the sense of consciousness that pervades everything, you respect the senses that are around you, the five senses in you and the senses of this universe, then you are a Hindu. In the true sense, you respect all this, you are a Hindu. In what you call as today as Hinduism. So when you respect any of all this, when you automatically respect all the divinities, the pantheon of divinities. But you may still have your choice. I prefer Ganesha more, as opposed to Ganesha's father, Shiva. You can still have that, but still have Hindu. As long as you have the underlying core of respecting one and all. One and all meaning not just the humans, not just the animals, the plants, the planets, everything put together. Have a genuine respect for all of them. The respect should come from within, not just your lips. The moment you have that,
And it reflects in your acts.
it reflects in your thoughts.
And it reflects in the way you then live, which becomes Sanatana Dharma again.
So it is the oldest and the ever young. And Dharma is the ways you live by.
The goal of life is to find the goal of life. See, we were just saying that, everything around you is changing. So at every point in time, every life has to learn how to adapt, has to learn how to live with the surrounding, has to learn how to be in sync. It's not easy, but that holds good for every individual life of every organism, every level of organism. How to live in the world, and it has to learn for itself. And this learning, for this it has to draw upon what its ancestors have left behind by way of knowledge. Both knowledge in its own genes, by knowledge in terms of the universal consciousness, which it can tap, which it keeps tapping subconsciously. You never realize what you're tapping, but there is knowledge around you and you keep getting that. There is knowledge in your genes that keeps coming to you from your ancestors. And you are going to be part of the knowledge base for the generations ahead. So this realization that you have to continuously keep adapting to the world, the universe that is changing. Understand that it keeps changing, it will change, and you have to keep changing and adapting. That knowledge and seeking that knowledge and that realization is what is the goal of life. That's what I have personally understood after looking at all of this. You can't say the goal of life is to do that or this or this or that. All of that is included.
It's a paradox.
Yes.
I like it. I like how you describe that. It's very well said. So if that's the goal of life, is to find the goal of life, what does the human life have to offer?
like I said, it's not just human life. Every life on the planet. I mean, on
Life
the
on
world,
planet
the
itself.
cosmos, every little organism, we don't know where else it's living. Every life has a purpose of tapping upon what has been there and leaving something for life going forward, for the generations to come forward. So, every life has something to offer. Not only for its own species, it has so much to offer for the other species. Because the knowledge that it is going to create in its life, the knowledge that it's going to understand, is influenced by all the other lives around it. So in that respect, the other lives are offering to this life. This is offering to the other lives. So it's such a beautiful,
give and take,
intricate,
and
yeah. Wow.
If you look at our film on creation and the book, you will see the answer to extend it, because it's a concept of Purusha and Viraj. Purusha is the one that gives, Viraj is the one that comes up. At the next stage, what happens is the Viraj becomes Purusha for the next generation.
Which becomes a Viraj.
And then for next generation, what is Viraj becomes a Purusha, and that becomes a Viraj.
That's
So
how
it's
actually
successive.
they have described, this is Purusha Sukta.
It's in Purusha
And this
Sukta.
is what they've used to describe the steps coming down from the cosmic egg all the way to the lowest organism.
From the Big Bang.
How everything evolved in the universe.
From your Big Bang comes your galaxies. From your galaxies comes your various stars. One of the stars is your sun. So the sun, for the sun, the Purusha is the mother galaxy. For the mother galaxy, our galaxy, there is a bigger mother galaxy. For that there is a Big Bang. So for everything there is one step below. From that comes your Earth.
And it's not necessary that your earlier thing is lost. I mean, the galaxy is not lost when the sun is there. The sun is not lost when the earth is there. The earth is not lost when the moon is there. They're all drawing upon each other.
You can take it from our film creation, from that snippet is there.